In this video, I'm going to tell you about the enzyme which is responsible for the hydrolysis of a polysaccharide. This enzyme is called as amylase. So amylase enzyme is present in a human body as well as in plants. In human body again, it is present in various body fluids. So the major quantity of the enzyme is present in the saliva. So thus this enzyme used to detect the presence or absence of saliva based upon the enzyme activity. So thus it has a relevance in the forensic science. Now I'll come to the enzyme. First of all, in the oral cavity, the enzyme came from the different glands, but the major portion come from a particular gland. First of all, you should be acknowledged what all glands are there in our mouth. So there are three glands. This one is parotid glands, which is responsible for around 25% of the saliva. This gland is the submandibular gland, as it is present just below the mandible bone. The chin bone is called as mandible bone, and this constitute around 70% of the saliva. And this gland which is present just below to the lingual cavity is called as sublingual gland, that constitute around 5%. But the major portion of the amylase came from the parotid glands. Now the thing is, next thing, what's the role of the this enzyme that you are studying is the role of amylase enzyme is to hydrolyze the polysaccharides. So you should be well aware that what polysaccharide is. So polysaccharide is nothing, it's a polymer of a sugar thing. And what is a monomer? Here the sugar is glucose. So this glucose is present in plants as well as in animals. So they are but they are present in a different forms. So in animal it is present in the form of a glycogen, whereas in plants they are present in the form of starch. Now starch is a mixture of two polymer. One is amylose, the other one is amylopectin. So how they are bonded with each other, the glucose, how they are linked with each other, will differentiate these three from each other. So what happened here? First of all, I'm going to tell you that how the glucose used to link with the other glucose. They used to link by a glycosidic linkage. So the linkage between the two glucose monomer is called as glycosidic linkage. So if a glucose is forming a linear chain, they used to link by carbon 1 and 4, by linking carbon 1 and 4 of the glucose group. So what happened here, you can first of all how the counting used to be done in the glucose. So here you can see that there is an oxygen, so just next to that the carbon is considered as first. So this is the first carbon, this is second, this is third, this is fourth, and this is 5, and this is the last sixth carbon. So in a linear linkage, what happened, first carbon of one glucose monomer used to link with the fourth carbon of the other monomer. So this linkage it is called as alpha 1,4 linkage. Whereas if the branching needs to be done, that is if two linear chain needs to get linked with each other, that linkage used to be done with only one kind of linkage, which is alpha 1,6 linkage. So here you can see that this is the sixth carbon and this is the first carbon. So the linkage, this kind of linkage helps in the branching. So what happened, as I told you that the animal and plant has different kind of the polysaccharides. So the starch has a mixture of two polysaccharides. So amylose is the one that has a linear structure, that is it only has the alpha 1,4 linkage in the glucose of the monomers, the monomer of glucose, whereas the amylopectin and glycogen has the branching of the this monomer chain. Once the linear chain has been formed, it used to link through the branching called as alpha 1,6 linkage. So here in glycogen and amylopectin, alpha 1,6 linkage is additionally present apart from alpha 1,4 linkage. So thus, but how you are going to differentiate glycogen from amylopectin based upon the intensity of branching. So this is the basic difference. So the next thing is how the amylose used to work, amylase enzyme. So what amylase do is, it used to cleave only alpha 1,4 linkage. So what happened here, if there is a linear structure, it used to get cleave into a maltose sugar or fructose or any disaccharide, or thus it cleave the structure into a disaccharide, whereas if it is a branch structure, so it may lead to the formation of a dextrin, that is a branching would be still there, but a alpha 1,4 linkage would be cleaved. Okay, now as you are acknowledged with the glucose structure now, or the glucose, what are the different kind of polymers that could be formed from the monomer glucose. Now what are the different types of amylase? So amylase is present in human as well as in plant. In plant they are present in the form called as beta amylase, whereas in human they are present in the form of alpha amylase. What's the difference, basic difference among human and plant amylase is the how they used to work. The role is same. They used to uh, hydrolyze the polysaccharide, they used to catalyze the hydrolysis of polysaccharide, but the mechanism actually differ. So what happened in the human one used to cleave the alpha 1,4 linkage randomly at any places, whereas the animal, the beta amylase, the enzyme which is present in the plant, the beta amylase used to cleave only at the reducing end. What the reducing end is, let's suppose this is the whole structure, so as there is nothing attached to this part, so this is the reducing end. So the part of the polymer to which nothing is attached, the end of that particular molecule is called as reducing end. So the beta amylase used to act on the reducing end of the molecule, and it used to cleave only that part. So that's the basic difference. But again in human there are two types of amylase enzyme which is found in a human body, and they both enzyme used to get encoded by different genes. Okay, so the locus of the gene for the first enzyme is this, whereas the locus of the gene for the second enzyme is this. What these enzymes are, these the two types of enzymes are HSA and HPA. HSA means human salivary alpha amylase, whereas HPA means human pancreatic alpha amylase. So why they are named like this? Because major quantity of these enzyme is released from the saliva into the saliva, whereas the major quantity of this enzyme used to be released in the pancreas. Okay, so what happened here, the genes that is responsible for the encoding of this enzyme is called as AMY1 genes, or you can say AMY1 locus, and the locus which is responsible for the encoding of this enzyme is called as AMY2 locus. These both locus are present on the chromosome 1. Okay, so the thing is, these two enzymes are isoenzymes, that is they are multiple forms that differ into their amino acid sequence. Their working is same to perform the hydrolysis of polysaccharide, but as they have a difference in their amino acid sequence, but they perform the same function, that's why they are called as isoenzymes. The second thing is they are very homologous to each other. It means there is a very less difference in their amino acid sequence. Therefore, the monoclonal antibodies against the HSA, the monoclonal antibodies that are built against the HSA also cross react with HPA. Okay, so but however, HSA is inactivated by the acids in the stomach. As I told you that HSA is generally present in the saliva, so once the saliva goes down to the stomach, most of the HSA enzyme used to get inactivated, while most of the HPA is inactivated in the lower portion of the intestine. Okay, so but you can say that some of the amylase activity remains in the feces. Now as I told you that HSA is majorly present in the saliva, but apart from the saliva it is also present in breast milk, serum and sweat, whereas the HPA enzyme is present in semen, serum and vaginal secretion. And one more thing about the amylase enzyme is it is inactivated in boiling temperature or by strong acidic or alkaline condition. So I hope this video would be helpful for you to get acknowledged with the properties of the amylase enzyme. Thank you.